When Elon Musk arrived home late from SpaceX that Wednesday night, he expected to find his usual evening note from Maria Santos, his reliable housekeeper of 3 years. Instead, he found her cleaning cart abandoned in the hallway, supplies scattered, like she'd vanished mid-task. Her car sat untouched in the driveway. Security cameras showed her entering the house that morning but never leaving. When Elon finally unlocked the door to her small staff quarters, room 23, Maria was gone. But what he discovered inside would shatter everything he thought he knew about the quiet woman who had worked silently in his home. Scattered across the desk and floor were dozens of medical bills, hospital letters, and photos of a young boy he'd never seen before. At the center of it all lay an unfinished letter in Maria's handwriting. "Mr. Musk, I never wanted to ask for help, but my son." The rest of the page was blank, but the devastating truth was about to unfold. Elon Musk pulled his black Tesla Model S into the circular driveway of his Austin mansion. The digital clock on the dashboard read 11:47 p.m. Another long day at SpaceX had stretched into night. The team had been working on final checks for the next Starship launch, and every detail mattered. The March air was cool as he stepped out of the car. His house stood quiet against the Texas sky. Most of the staff had gone home hours ago. The only person who should still be here was Maria Santos, his housekeeper. She always stayed late on Wednesdays to finish the deep cleaning, but something felt different tonight. Elon walked through the front door and stopped. Maria's cleaning cart sat in the middle of the hallway. Her supplies were scattered around it like she had left in a hurry. A bottle of glass cleaner had fallen over, leaving a small puddle on the marble floor. "Maria?" Elon called out. His voice echoed through the empty house. "No" answered, but he walked toward the kitchen. On the counter, he found Maria's usual evening note. She always left one telling him what she had cleaned and what needed attention tomorrow. But tonight's note was different. It was only half written. "Mr. Musk." The note began in Maria's careful handwriting. "I finished the living room and dining room. The kitchen needs." The sentence stopped in the middle of a word. The pen lay beside the paper like she had dropped it suddenly. Elon frowned. Maria never left things unfinished. In 3 years of working for him, she had been perfect. Always on time, always thorough, always polite. She was the kind of person who made his chaotic life run smoothly. He pulled out his phone and called her number. It went straight to voicemail. That was strange too. Maria always answered her phone, especially if he called. "Maria, it's Elon. Just checking if everything is okay. Call me back when you get this." He walked through the house looking for her. The living room was spotless. The dining room gleamed. Everything looked perfect, just like always. But Maria was nowhere to be found. Then he remembered the security cameras. Elon went to his office and opened his laptop. The house had cameras everywhere for safety. He could check what happened. The footage showed Maria arriving that morning. At 8:15 a.m., she parked her old Honda Civic in the staff parking area and walked to the house with her usual smile. She waved at the camera like she always did. Elon fast-forwarded through the day. He saw Maria working in different rooms. She moved efficiently, cleaning and organizing. At 2:30 p.m., she took her lunch break in the kitchen. She ate a sandwich and looked at her phone. But then something strange happened. At 3:45 p.m., Maria got a phone call. Elon watched as her face changed. Her smile disappeared. She sat down hard in a kitchen chair and put her head in her hands. The call lasted only 3 minutes, but when it ended, Maria looked like a different person. For the next hour, she moved through the house like a ghost. She cleaned, but her movements were slow and tired. Several times, she stopped working and just stood still, staring at nothing. At 6:30 p.m., the footage showed Maria walking toward the staff quarters. The house had a small apartment where employees could rest or stay overnight if needed. Maria had never used it before. She always went home to her son. That was the last time the cameras saw her. Elon checked every camera angle. Maria never left the house. Her car was still in the driveway, but she was nowhere to be found. He walked to the staff quarters. It was a small apartment on the first floor behind the kitchen. The door was marked Room 23. Elon tried the handle. It was locked. "Maria?" He knocked on the door. "Are you in there?" Silence. Elon got the master key from his office. His hands shook a little as he put it in the lock. Something was very wrong. Maria would never lock herself in a room and ignore him. The door opened slowly. The room was empty, but it was not the way it should be. Someone had been here. Someone had been living here. The small bed was unmade. Clothes were scattered around. But what caught Elon's attention were the papers covering the desk and floor. Dozens of them. Letters, bills, and photographs spread everywhere like someone had been desperately searching for something. Elon stepped into the room carefully. The papers were all about the same thing. Medical bills, hospital letters, insurance forms. All of them had the same name, Diego Santos. Maria had never mentioned having a son named Diego. The bills were huge. Thousands of dollars for treatments, medicines, and hospital stays. Some were marked past due in red letters. Others said final notice. Elon picked up one of the photographs. It showed a young boy, maybe 8 years old, with Maria's dark eyes and bright smile. He was in a hospital bed, but he was laughing at something off camera. Despite being sick, he looked happy. There were more photos. Diego at home, drawing pictures. Diego in a park, feeding ducks. Diego hugging Maria, both of them smiling. In every picture, the boy looked thin and tired, but his eyes were full of life. Elon's chest tightened. Maria had a sick son, a very sick son, and she had never said a word about it. He found more papers. A letter from Dell Children's Medical Center. It was dated 2 weeks ago. The doctors were recommending a new treatment for Diego's leukemia. It would cost $50,000. Insurance would not cover it. Elon sat down in the chair, overwhelmed. Maria had been working for him for 3 years. She had cleaned his house, organized his life, and made everything perfect. And all this time, she had been carrying this terrible burden alone. At the bottom of the pile, he found something that made his heart stop. It was a letter in Maria's handwriting, but it was not finished. It was addressed to him. Mr. Musk. It began, I never wanted to ask for help, but my son. The letter stopped there. The rest of the page was blank. Elon stared at the unfinished words. Maria had been trying to ask him for help. She had been working up the courage to tell him about Diego. But something had stopped her. He looked around the room again. Where was Maria? What had happened to her? Why had she left all these papers here? On the nightstand, he found Maria's work badge and her house keys. She would never leave those behind unless something was very wrong. That Elon's phone buzzed. A text message from an unknown number. Stop looking. She's gone. His blood turned cold. Someone had taken Maria. Someone knew he was looking for her. He grabbed his phone and dialed 911. This was no longer about a missing housekeeper. This was about a desperate mother who had disappeared while trying to save her son's life. And somewhere out there, an 8-year-old boy named Diego was waiting for his mama to come home. The Austin Police Department was quiet at 12:30 a.m. Detective Sarah Chun sat at her desk drinking cold coffee when the call came in. A missing person report from one of the city's most famous residents. Elon Musk, she said into the phone. The Tesla guy? That's right, said Officer Martinez. He's at his house now. Says his housekeeper disappeared. Found some strange stuff in her room. Sarah sighed. Rich people always thought their problems were emergencies. Housekeepers quit jobs all the time. They found better work or got tired of cleaning up after wealthy families. But protocol was protocol. I'll be there in 20 minutes, she said. The drive to Elon's mansion took her through the quiet streets of Austin. Sarah had been a detective for 12 years. She had seen missing persons cases that broke her heart and others that were just misunderstandings. Most of the time, missing adults turned up safe within 48 hours. The mansion was huge and bright against the dark sky. Elon met her at the front door. He looked tired and worried. His hair was messy, and his expensive shirt was wrinkled. Thank you for coming, he said. I know it's late, but something is really wrong. Sarah followed him inside. The house was beautiful but cold. Everything was perfect and clean. It felt more like a museum than a home. Tell me about Maria Santos, Sarah said, pulling out her notepad. She's worked for me for 3 years, Elon said. She's the best employee I've ever had. Always on time, always professional. She has a son, but I just found out about him tonight. He led Sarah to room 23. The papers were still scattered everywhere. Sarah put on gloves and looked through them carefully. The medical bills told a sad story. Diego Santos was very sick. The treatments were expensive. Maria was drowning in debt. Has she ever asked you for money? Sarah asked. Never, Elon said. She's too proud for that. I found this letter she was trying to write to me, but she never finished it. Sarah read the incomplete letter. 2 sentences asking for help, then nothing. She had seen this before. People who desperately needed help but couldn't bring themselves to ask for it. "When did you last see her?" Sarah asked. "This morning when she arrived. But I was in meetings all day. I didn't really talk to her." Sarah examined the security footage. On Elon's laptop, she watched Maria arrive that morning, smiling and waving. She saw the phone call that changed everything. Maria's face crumpled when she answered. Whatever news she got, it was bad. "Do you know who called her?" Sarah asked. "No, but I can get the phone records," Elon said. Sarah continued watching the footage. Maria moved through the house like a ghost. After that call, she cleaned, but her heart wasn't in it. Several times, she stopped and put her head in her hands. "She looked scared," Sarah said. "Or desperate," Elon replied. The footage showed Maria walking to room 23 at 6:30 p.m. After that, nothing. No sign of her leaving. No sign of anyone else entering the house. "Her car is still here?" Sarah asked. "Yes, in the driveway. Keys are in her room." Sarah frowned. People didn't usually disappear from locked rooms. There had to be another explanation. "Does she have family in the area?" Sarah asked. "I don't think so. She came from El Salvador about 5 years ago. She's always been very private about her personal life." Sarah walked around the room again. The bed was unmade. Clothes were on the floor. It looked like Maria had been living here, not just working here. "Has she ever stayed overnight before?" Sarah asked. "No, never. She always goes home to her son." "Where does she live?" "I have her address in my files." Sarah made a note to check Maria's apartment. Maybe the answer was there. Maybe Maria had gone home and was too embarrassed to call. "There's something else," Elon said. He showed Sarah his phone. "I got this text after I found the room." Sarah read the message. "Stop looking. She's gone." "Unknown number?" she asked. "Yes. I tried calling it back, but it's disconnected." Sarah felt a chill. This changed everything. Someone was watching. Someone wanted them to stop looking for Maria. "Mr. Musk, I need to ask you something," Sarah said. "Is there any reason someone would want to hurt Maria? Any problems with other employees? Any jealousy or arguments?" "No, nothing like that. Everyone likes Maria. She's kind and hardworking. She never causes trouble." Sarah believed him. The evidence in the room told a different story. This wasn't about workplace drama. This was about a mother trying to save her sick son. "I'm going to need a list of all your employees," Sarah said, "and anyone else who has access to this house." "Of course, whatever you need." Sarah looked at the photos of Diego again. The little boy's smile reminded her of her own nephew. No mother should have to choose between asking for help and watching her child suffer. "There's something else," Elon said. "I called the hospital, Dell Children's Medical Center. They said Diego missed his appointment today. He was supposed to get chemotherapy." Sarah's heart sank. A sick child missing his treatment was serious. Very serious. "Do you know where Diego is now?" she asked. "With a babysitter, I think. But if Maria doesn't come back," Sarah understood. Diego was probably waiting for his mother to come home. He had no idea she was missing. "I'm going to put out an alert," Sarah said. "Maria Santos, 34 years old, Hispanic female. We'll check hospitals, bus stations, airports. We'll find her." But even as she said it, Sarah felt worried. The mysterious text message suggested this wasn't a simple missing person case. Someone had taken Maria. Someone who didn't want her found. "There's one more thing," Elon said. "Maria's car broke down 3 days ago. James Wright, my head of security, saw her walking to the bus stop yesterday morning. So she was taking the bus to work. Yes, she was saving money for Diego's treatment." Sarah made another note. They would need to check bus routes and security cameras. Maybe someone had seen Maria as Sarah prepared to leave. She looked around. Room 23 one more time. The scattered papers told a story of love and desperation. A mother working multiple jobs to save her son. A woman too proud to ask for help until it was almost too late. "Detective Chun," Elon said as she reached the door. "Diego needs his mother. Whatever it takes, we have to find her." Sarah nodded. She had worked many cases, but this one felt different. This one was personal. As she drove back to the station, Sarah thought about the mysterious text message. Someone out there knew what happened to Maria. Someone who wanted them to stop looking. But Sarah Chun had never backed down from a case. And she wasn't going to start now. At the station, she began making calls. Missing person reports. Hospital. Checks. Bus company records. Somewhere in the city, Maria Santos was waiting to be found. And somewhere else, an 8-year-old boy named Diego was wondering why his mama hadn't come home to read him a bedtime story. The investigation was just beginning. Detective Sarah Chun arrived at the Austin Police Department at 6 a.m. She had barely slept. The image of Diego Santos waiting for his mother kept playing in her mind. She needed to find Maria fast. The first thing she did was track Maria's phone. The GPS showed its last location at 8:30 p.m. the night before. 6 blocks from Elon's house, near a small park. Sarah drove there with Officer Martinez. The park was quiet in the early morning light. Joggers ran past, and a few people walked their dogs. It looked peaceful and safe. There, Martinez pointed to a trash can near the bus stop. Sarah put on gloves and looked inside. At the bottom, under old newspapers and coffee cups, she found Maria's phone. The screen was cracked, and the battery was dead. Someone threw this away on purpose, Sarah said. They wanted to make sure we couldn't track her. She bagged the phone as evidence. Maybe the tech team could find something useful on it. The bus stop had a security camera. Sarah called the transit authority and asked for the footage. Within an hour, she had what she needed. The video showed Maria at the bus stop at 7:15 p.m. She looked scared and kept checking over her shoulder. She got on the number 20 bus heading downtown. But that wasn't the strange part. The strange part was what happened next. At 8:25 p.m., a man in a dark jacket walked to the trash can. He threw something inside, then left quickly. The camera angle made it hard to see his face, but Sarah could tell he was older, maybe in his 60s. Run the plates on all the cars parked nearby, Sarah told Martinez. Someone was watching Maria. Next, Sarah needed to check Maria's apartment. She had the address from Elon's files. It was a small place in East Austin, about 20 minutes from the mansion. The apartment building was old but clean. Sarah knocked on the door of the manager's office. A woman with gray hair answered. "I'm looking for Maria Santos," Sarah said, showing her badge. "Apartment 2B. Maria?" The woman looked worried. "She's such a nice girl. Is she in trouble?" "She's missing." "When did you last see her?" "Yesterday morning. She was carrying Diego to her car." The poor little boy looked so tired. Sarah's heart jumped. "Diego was with her?" "Yes, she was taking him to the hospital. She told me he had another treatment." This was new information. Diego had been with Maria when she left for work. But Elon said Maria always worked alone. "Does Maria have a babysitter for Diego?" Sarah asked. Her neighbor, Mrs. Patterson, watches him sometimes. But mostly Maria takes Diego everywhere. She doesn't trust many people with him. Sarah got Mrs. Patterson's apartment number and went upstairs. The hallway smelled like cooking and cleaning products. She could hear children playing behind some doors. Mrs. Patterson was a kind woman in her 70s. She opened the door wearing a flowered apron. "You're looking for Maria?" she said. "I've been worried sick. She was supposed to pick up Diego last night, but she never came." "Diego is here?" Sarah asked. "Yes, the poor baby is sleeping. He was so tired after his treatment yesterday. Maria dropped him off here around 6 p.m. She said she had to go back to work for a few hours." Sarah felt relieved. Diego was safe. But she also felt more worried about Maria. She had gone back to Elon's house after taking Diego to the hospital. Something had happened there. "Can I see Diego?" Sarah asked. Mrs. Patterson led her to a small bedroom. The little boy was sleeping on a cot. He looked exactly like the photos Sarah had seen. Thin and pale, but peaceful. And 4 port was visible on his arm where he got his treatments. "He's been asking for his mama," Mrs. Patterson whispered. "I keep telling him she'll be back soon." Sarah's throat tightened. This little boy had no idea his mother was missing. "Mrs. Patterson, I need to ask you some questions about Maria." They sat in the kitchen. Mrs. Patterson made coffee and told Sarah about Maria's life. "She works 3 jobs," Mrs. Patterson said. "Cleaning for Mr. Musk during the day. Then she works at Pete's Diner until 2 a.m. After that, she cleans offices until 6 a.m. I don't know how she does it." 3 jobs. Sarah was amazed. "When does she sleep?" "Maybe 2 or 3 hours a day. She's trying to save money for Diego's treatment. The insurance doesn't cover everything." Sarah learned more about Maria's schedule. She worked 7 days a week. She had no family in Austin. Her only friends were the neighbors and the people she worked with. "Has she seemed different lately?" Sarah asked, more worried than usual. "Last week, she got a call from the hospital. After that, she started working even more hours. She looked scared." Sarah made notes. The timeline was becoming clearer. Maria got bad news about Diego's treatment. She started working more to raise money. Then something happened that made her disappear. Did she ever mention family back in El Salvador? Sarah asked. Mrs. Patterson's face changed. She doesn't talk about her family much. But once, she told me her father was very angry when she came to America. He said she brought shame to the family. Do you know his name? Miguel, I think. Maria said he was a very religious man, very strict. Sarah wrote down the name. Maybe Maria's family was involved somehow. Next, Sarah went to Dell Children's Medical Center. She needed to talk to Diego's doctors and learn more about his condition. The hospital was busy with patients and families. Sarah found the oncology department on the third floor. Dr. Amanda Rodriguez was Diego's main doctor. Diego has acute lymphoblastic leukemia, Dr. Rodriguez explained. It's a serious cancer, but treatable. We caught it early, which is good. How is he doing? Sarah asked. He's responding well to treatment, but he needs a new therapy that's very expensive. $50,000. Is it urgent? Dr. Rodriguez looked sad. Diego needs to start the treatment within 2 weeks. Without it, his cancer could get worse quickly. Sarah understood now. Maria had 2 weeks to find $50,000, or her son might die. That was enough to make any parent desperate. Has Maria ever missed Diego's appointments? Sarah asked. Never. She's the most dedicated mother I've ever seen. She works constantly to pay for his care, but she never misses a treatment. Until yesterday. Yes, Diego was supposed to come in for chemotherapy. When Maria didn't show up, we were worried. It's not like her. Sarah left the hospital with a heavy heart. Maria Santos was a hero. She worked 3 jobs and slept 2 hours a night to save her son's life. She never complained and never asked for help, and now she was missing. Back at the police station, Sarah found more information. The phone company had records of Maria's calls. The last call she received was at 3:45 p.m. on Wednesday. It came from a number in El Salvador. Sarah's pulse quickened. Someone from Maria's home country had called her. Someone who made her upset and scared. She called the number, but no one answered. The voicemail message was in Spanish. Sarah didn't speak Spanish well, but she recognized one word: Santos. Maria's family had contacted her, and whatever they said, it had changed everything. Sarah looked at the clock. It was 2 p.m. Maria had been missing for almost 24 hours. Diego was asking for his mother. Time was running out. She picked up her phone and called Elon Musk. Mr. Musk, I found Diego. He's safe with a neighbor, but we need to talk. I think Maria's family in El Salvador is involved. There was silence on the other end. Then Elon said, I'll be right there. Sarah stared at the evidence board she had created. Photos of Maria and Diego. Phone records. Security footage. Medical bills. Somewhere in all this information was the answer. Someone had taken Maria Santos. Someone who didn't want her to ask for help. But Sarah Chun was going to find her. No matter what it took, the trail was getting warmer. Elon Musk arrived at the police station 30 minutes later. His face was tight with worry. Detective Sarah Chun led him to a small conference room where she had spread out all the evidence. Tell me about Diego, Elon said immediately. He's safe with a neighbor named Mrs. Patterson, but he's asking for his mother every few minutes. The poor kid has no idea what's happening. Sarah showed Elon the phone records. This call came from El Salvador at 3:45 p.m. Right after that, Maria changed completely. Whatever her family told her, it scared her. Have you tried calling the number back? No answer. But I'm working with international police to trace it. Elon studied the security footage again. Look at her face after that call. She looks terrified. Or desperate, Sarah agreed. I talked to Diego's doctor. He needs $50,000 for treatment within 2 weeks, or his cancer could get much worse. Elon's jaw tightened. $50,000? That's nothing to me. Why didn't she just ask? Pride, Sarah said simply. She's been working 3 jobs to pay for his care. Some people would rather die than ask for help. Sarah's computer beeped. New information had come in from the city's security camera network. She pulled up the footage on her screen. This is from yesterday, she said. Downtown Austin, 2:15 p.m. The video showed Maria walking quickly down Congress Avenue. She looked over her shoulders several times, like someone was following her. She stopped at Kim's pawn shop and went inside. She was selling something, Sarah said. Let's go talk to Mr. Kim. The pawn shop was small and cluttered. Golden jewelry gleamed in glass cases. Guitars hung on the walls. Mr. Kim, an elderly Korean man, recognized Maria's photo immediately. Yes, she came yesterday, he said sadly. Such a nice lady. She was crying. What did she sell? Sarah asked. Mr. Kim went to his computer and looked up the transaction. A gold necklace. Very old, very beautiful. She said it belonged to her grandmother. He showed them a photo of the necklace. It was delicate and elegant, with a small cross pendant. She didn't want to sell it, Mr. Kim continued. She kept touching it and crying. She said it was for her son's medicine. How much did you pay her? Elon asked. Normally, I would pay $300. But she was so sad, so desperate. I gave her $800. Sarah made a note. Maria had gotten $800 for her most precious possession. It wasn't nearly enough for Diego's treatment, but it was something. Did she say where she was going next? Sarah asked. To the bank. She said she needed to get all her money together. Sarah and Elon left the pawn shop and drove to Maria's bank. The manager, Mrs. Williams, remembered Maria clearly. She came in around 3 p.m. yesterday, Mrs. Williams said. She wanted to withdraw her entire savings account. How much? Sarah asked. $3,047. Everything she had. Sarah felt sick. Maria had taken every penny she owned, plus the money from selling her grandmother's necklace. She had about $4,000 total. Still nowhere near enough for Diego's treatment. She seemed very upset, Mrs. Williams continued. Her hands were shaking when she signed the withdrawal slip. The bank's security cameras showed Maria leaving with a thick envelope of cash. She walked to the bus stop and sat on the bench for 20 minutes, just staring at the envelope. She was making a decision, Elon said, watching the footage. Something big. Sarah's phone rang. It was Officer Martinez with more information. Detective, we found something at the airport. Maria Santos bought a plane ticket yesterday afternoon. Where to? Sarah asked. Los Angeles. One way. She paid cash. Sarah felt confused. Did she get on the plane? No. The airline says she never boarded. They have security footage of her sitting in the departure area for 3 hours, then leaving. This was strange. Maria had bought a ticket but never used it. She had all her money with her and a chance to disappear. But she had changed her mind. Send me that airport footage, Sarah said. An hour later, Sarah and Elon were watching the airport security cameras. Maria sat in a plastic chair near gate 15, clutching her purse. She kept checking her phone and looking at the departure board. At 8:30 p.m., her phone rang. Maria answered it and immediately started crying. The call lasted 5 minutes. When it ended, Maria stood up and walked away from the gate. She left the airport without getting on her plane. Someone called her, Sarah said. Someone who changed her mind about leaving, or someone who threatened her. Elon replied. Sarah checked the phone records again. The last call to Maria's phone came from the same number in El Salvador, the same family member who had upset her earlier. We need to find out who this person is, Sarah said. They drove to the Greyhound bus station downtown. The ticket clerk, a young woman named Jessica, looked at Maria's photo. Oh yeah, I remember her, Jessica said. She came in really late last night, maybe 11 p.m. She looked awful, like she'd been crying for hours. Where did she buy a ticket to? Sarah asked. San Antonio. One way. She paid cash. Did she say why she was going there? She said she was visiting family, but she seemed scared, not excited. Sarah felt the pieces clicking together. Maria had tried to fly to Los Angeles, but changed her mind. Then she took a bus to San Antonio. Someone in her family was controlling her movements. Did anyone come with her? Elon asked. No, she was alone. But there was something weird. Right before her bus left, a man came to the window. He didn't buy a ticket, but he watched her bus pull away. Can you describe him? Sarah asked. Older guy, maybe 60. Hispanic. He looked angry. Sarah and Elon exchanged glances. Someone had been following Maria. Someone who wanted to make sure. She got on that bus to San Antonio. Do you have security cameras? Sarah asked. Yeah, but they're pretty old. The footage was grainy, but Sarah could see Maria sitting alone on a bench. She looked tiny and frightened. At 11:45 p.m., her bus was called. Maria stood up slowly, like she was walking to her own execution. Then Sarah saw him. An older man standing in the shadows near the door. He watched Maria get on the bus, then pulled out his phone and made a call. "That's him," Sarah said. "That's who's been following her." Elon leaned closer to the screen. "Can you enhance this image?" The tech team worked for an hour to clean up the footage. When they were done, Sarah could see the man's face clearly. He looked like an older version of Maria. Same eyes, same nose. "That's her father," Sarah said. "Miguel Santos." Sarah called Immigration Services. Miguel Santos had entered the United States 2 weeks ago on a visitor visa. His flight came from San Salvador, El Salvador. He was staying at St. Mary's Catholic Church in San Antonio. "He came here to get her," Elon said. "He's taking her back to El Salvador." Sarah's phone buzzed with another message from the unknown number. "Stop looking." She made her choice. This time, Sarah was ready. She had the phone company trace the signal immediately. The call came from San Antonio, Texas. "He's got her," Sarah said. "Miguel Santos has his daughter, and he's planning to take her out of the country." "What about Diego?" Elon asked. Sarah thought about the little boy waiting for his mother. Diego needed his treatment in 2 weeks. If Maria disappeared to El Salvador, he might never see her again. "We have to get to San Antonio," Sarah said. "Tonight." As they prepared to leave Austin, Sarah looked at the evidence board one more time. Maria Santos had been desperate to save her son. She had sold everything she owned and taken all her money. She had even bought a plane ticket to run away, but her father had found her. And now she was trapped, somewhere in San Antonio. A frightened mother was being forced to choose between her old life and her son's life. And time was running out for both of them. Detective Sarah Chun and Elon Musk drove through the night toward San Antonio. The highway was dark and empty. Sarah's police radio crackled with updates from the San Antonio Police Department. They found the motel, Officer Rodriguez reported. Room 237 at the Desert Inn, registered under the name Miguel Santos. "Are they there now?" Sarah asked into the radio. "No, the room is empty, but the clerk says they checked in 2 days ago." Sarah pressed harder on the gas pedal. They were 2 hours behind Maria and her father. Every minute counted. Elon stared out the window at the passing landscape. "I keep thinking about Diego. He must be so scared. Mrs. Patterson is taking good care of him," Sarah said. "But we need to find his mother soon." They reached San Antonio at 3 a.m. The Desert Inn was a cheap motel on the south side of the city. Neon signs flickered in the darkness. The parking lot was nearly empty. The desk clerk, a tired-looking man named Pete, showed them to room 237. "They left yesterday morning," he said. "But they paid for 3 nights. Did you see them together?" Sarah asked. "Yeah," the older guy seemed real angry. The woman looked scared. She kept crying. Sarah and Elon searched the room carefully. It was small and dirty. 2 beds, a tiny bathroom, and a window that looked out on the parking lot. On the dresser, Sarah found more evidence of Maria's desperation. Crumpled tissues, an empty water bottle, and a piece of paper with phone numbers written on it. She was calling people, Sarah said, examining the paper, looking for help. The numbers belonged to loan companies and financial aid organizations. Maria had spent her time in this room making desperate phone calls, trying to find $50,000 for Diego's treatment. None of them would help her, Elon said sadly. She had no credit, no collateral. Sarah found something else under the bed, a small notebook with Maria's handwriting. The pages told the story of her final days of freedom. Day 1 in San Antonio, Maria had written, "Papa found me at the airport. He says I'm bringing shame to the family. He wants me to come home and forget about Diego's treatment. He says God will decide if Diego lives or dies." Sarah felt sick reading the words. Miguel Santos was forcing his daughter to choose between her faith and her son's life. Day 2, the next entry read, "I called 12 loan companies today. None will help. Papa says this is proof that God wants Diego to come home to El Salvador. But I can't give up. Diego needs me." The final entry was heartbreaking. Day 3. "I called Mr. Musk's office, but I couldn't find the courage to ask for help. I wrote a letter but tore it up. Papa says if I don't come home with him tomorrow, he will tell the family that Diego and I are dead to them forever." Sarah closed the notebook. Maria had been trapped between her father's demands and her son's needs. She had tried everything to raise money, but nothing worked. Where did they go next? Elon asked. Sarah interviewed more motel staff. The maintenance worker, Carlos, had seen Miguel and Maria leaving yesterday morning. The old man was pushing her toward a car, Carlos said. She didn't want to go. She kept looking back at the motel like she wanted to run. What kind of car? Sarah asked. White pickup truck. Texas plates. The man drove, and the woman sat in the passenger seat. She was crying. Sarah put out an alert for the white pickup truck. Every police officer in South Texas would be looking for Miguel Santos and his daughter. The investigation revealed more about Miguel's movements. Security cameras from a nearby gas station showed him buying rope, duct tape, and bottles of water, materials that could be used to hold someone against their will. He's kidnapping his own daughter, Elon said angrily. Sarah called the FBI. Kidnapping across state lines was a federal crime. Agent Lisa Torres agreed to help with the search. We'll check all the border crossings, Agent Torres said. If Miguel Santos tries to take Maria to Mexico, we'll stop him. But Sarah had a bad feeling. Miguel wasn't trying to cross the border yet. He was taking Maria somewhere to break her spirit first at sunrise. Sarah got a call from the San Antonio police. A truck driver had seen a white pickup truck at an abandoned rest stop 30 miles outside the city. The truck was parked behind the building, Officer Valdez reported. But when we got there, it was gone. We found this on the ground. He held up a small piece of torn fabric. It was blue and white, like the shirt Maria was wearing in the security footage. She's trying to leave us clues, Sarah said. She knows we're looking for her. The rest stop had security cameras, but they were broken. However, Sarah found fresh tire tracks in the dirt. The truck had been there recently. A gas station 5 miles down the road had better cameras. The footage showed Miguel's truck stopping for fuel at 6 a.m. Maria was in the passenger seat, her hands apparently tied. Look at her face, Elon said. She's not giving up. The gas station clerk remembered them. The old man paid for gas and bought more rope. The woman tried to talk to me, but he pulled her away. What did she try to say? Sarah asked. Something about her son. She kept saying Diego over and over. Sarah felt her heart breaking. Even while being kidnapped by her own father, Maria's only thoughts were of her sick son. The trail led deeper into rural Texas. Miguel was taking Maria to isolated areas where no one would hear her scream, where no one would help her. Agent Torres called with more information. Miguel Santos has a cousin in Texas, Eduardo Santos. He owns a small ranch near the border. How far from here? Sarah asked. 2 hours. We're sending units there now. As they drove toward the ranch, Sarah thought about the timeline. Diego needed his treatment soon. If Maria didn't return to Austin, her son might lose his chance for the new therapy. What kind of father does this to his own daughter? Elon asked. One who thinks he knows what's best, Sarah replied. Miguel Santos believes he's saving Maria's soul, even if it costs Diego his life. Sarah's phone buzzed with another anonymous text. She chose her family's honor. Stop looking. This time, Sarah was ready. The FBI had been monitoring the phone signals. Agent Torres called immediately. We traced the signal. It's coming from the ranch. Eduardo Santos is sending those messages. Are they there now? Sarah asked. We'll know in 10 minutes. Units are surrounding the property. Sarah prayed they weren't too late. Somewhere on that ranch, Maria Santos was fighting for her life and her son's future, and time was running out. For both of them, the radio crackled with urgent voices. The FBI team had reached the ranch. What they found there would change everything. Agent Torres's voice came through the radio clearly. We found the ranch. Miguel's truck is here, but it's empty. Detective Sarah Chun gripped the steering wheel tighter. Any sign of Maria? Negative. But we found something else. Blood on the passenger seat. Sarah's heart dropped. Elon closed his eyes and took a deep breath. How much blood? Sarah asked. Not a lot. Maybe from a cut or scratch. But it's fresh. Sarah and Elon arrived at the ranch 20 minutes later. FBI agents were searching everywhere. The property was bigger than expected. Rolling hills, old barns, and thick woods that could hide anything. Eduardo Santos sat in handcuffs near an FBI van. He was a short, heavy man with gray hair and angry eyes. He refused to talk to anyone. Agent Torres met Sarah at the truck. The blood matches Maria's type. Someone struggled in this vehicle. Sarah looked inside the truck. The passenger seat was torn. There were scratches on the door handle. Maria had fought back. Where would Miguel take her now? Sarah asked Eduardo. Eduardo just stared at the ground. He wouldn't answer. "Your cousin is hurting his own daughter," Sarah said. "Help us find her. She brought shame to the family." Eduardo finally spoke. "Miguel is saving her soul. By kidnapping her? By keeping her from her sick son." Eduardo's face stayed hard. Children belong with their family, not in foreign hospitals. Sarah wanted to shake him. Diego was dying, and these men cared more about family honor than a little boy's life. Agent Torres pulled Sarah aside. "We found tire tracks leading toward the river." Miguel switched vehicles. "He's driving Eduardo's old Ford now." "How long ago?" "Maybe 2 hours. We've alerted all the police departments in the area." The search expanded quickly. Helicopters flew overhead. Police cars spread out across South Texas. Everyone was looking for a blue Ford truck with Miguel and Maria inside. Elon paced back and forth, his phone pressed to his ear. "I'm calling every hospital between here and the border. If Maria is hurt, she'll need medical help." Sarah watched the search teams work. They were professional and fast. But Texas was huge. Miguel could be anywhere. Her phone rang. It was Mrs. Patterson from Austin. "Detective Chun, I'm worried about Diego. He won't eat anything. He keeps asking when his mama is coming home." Sarah felt sick. "How is he feeling?" "Weak. Very weak." Dr. Rodriguez called. She said Diego needs to start his new treatment tomorrow, or it might be too late. Tomorrow. Sarah looked at her watch. It was already noon. They had less than 24 hours to find Maria and get her back to Austin. "Tell Diego we're bringing his mother home," Sarah said. "Tell him to be strong." But even as she said it, Sarah wasn't sure they would find Maria in time that a police radio call interrupted her thoughts. "Unit 47 to base. We found the blue Ford truck." Sarah's heart jumped. "Where?" "Abandoned at Brackenridge Park in San Antonio. No sign of the occupants." Sarah and Elon raced back to San Antonio. Brackenridge Park was huge, with trails, playgrounds, and the San Antonio River running through it. The Ford truck sat empty in a parking lot. The doors were open. Miguel's fingerprints were on the steering wheel, but there was no sign of Maria. "There. On foot now," Agent Torres said. But where would Miguel take her? Sarah studied a map of the park. There were dozens of places to hide. Thick woods, old bridges, abandoned buildings. Then she saw something that made her blood run cold. A piece of blue fabric hanging from a tree branch near the river. "That's from Maria's shirt," Sarah said. The fabric was 20 feet from the water's edge. Below the tree, Sarah found footprints in the mud. 2 sets. One larger, one smaller. "Miguel brought her to the river," Sarah said. "But why?" Officer Martinez pointed to an old stone bridge 50 yards away. "That bridge has been there for 100 years. People used to. Well, people jumped from there during the Depression." Sarah understood. Miguel wasn't just trying to take Maria back to El Salvador. He was threatening to hurt her if she didn't. "Give up Diego. He's using fear," Sarah said, making her choose between Diego and her own life. The search teams spread out along the river. Divers went into the water. Dogs followed scent trails through the woods. After 2 hours of searching, they found something that stopped everyone cold. That on the old stone bridge, tied to the railing, was Maria's jacket. It fluttered in the wind like a flag of surrender. Inside the jacket pocket was a note in Maria's handwriting. "Tell Diego his mama loves him more than all the stars in the sky." Sarah stared at the note. It sounded like a goodbye message. "She wouldn't give up," Elon said firmly. "Maria is a fighter. She wouldn't leave Diego." But the evidence suggested otherwise. Maria's jacket on the bridge. The goodbye note. No sign of her anywhere. Agent Torres coordinated with the dive team. "We need to search the entire river." If Maria went into the water, Sarah couldn't finish. The thought, if Maria had drowned, Diego would lose his mother forever. And without the new treatment, he might lose his life too. As the sun began to set, Sarah got a phone call that changed everything. "Detective Chun." The voice was shaky and scared. "This is Bobby Martinez. I live under the bridge near Brackenridge Park." "What can I do for you, Bobby?" "I saw something today. A woman and an older man. They were arguing by the river." Sarah's pulse quickened. "When was this?" "Around noon." The woman looked scared. She kept trying to get away from him. "Did you see what happened to them?" The man grabbed her arm real hard. Then they got into another car. Someone was waiting for them. "Another car? What kind?" "Black sedan. Fancy one." The driver looked young, maybe 30 years old. Sarah felt a spark of hope. Maria might still be alive. Miguel had help from someone else, someone with a car. Bobby, this is very important. Which direction did they go? South, toward the highway. The woman was crying, but she was fighting back. Sarah called Agent Torres immediately. Maria is alive. Miguel has help, and they're heading south toward the border. How far to Mexico? Elon asked. 2 hours by car. Agent Torres replied. If they cross the border, we'll lose them. Sarah looked at her watch. 6 p.m. Diego needed his treatment by tomorrow morning. Even if they found Maria tonight, it might be too late to get her back to Austin. But Sarah Chun had never given up on a case. And she wasn't going to start with a little boy who needed his mother. Set up roadblocks at every highway leading to Mexico, Sarah ordered. Miguel Santos is not taking his daughter out of this country. As police cars raced toward the border, Sarah thought about Maria's note. Tell Diego his mama loves him more than all the stars in the sky. It wasn't a goodbye message, Sarah realized. It was a promise. Maria was telling Diego that no matter what happened, her love would always find him. And Sarah was going to make sure Maria kept that promise. Detective Sarah Chun drove through the night toward the Mexican border. Her radio buzzed with updates from roadblocks across South Texas. So far, no sign of Miguel Santos or the black sedan. Bobby Martinez sat in the passenger seat of Sarah's police car. The homeless veteran had agreed to help identify the car and driver if they found them. Tell me more about what you saw, Sarah said. Bobby scratched his gray beard. I've been living under that bridge for 8 months. You see everything from down there. Rich folks in fancy cars, families having picnics, young couples walking by the river. What made you notice this couple? The woman was crying real loud, and the old man was mean to her, kept grabbing her arm, shaking her. That ain't right. Sarah agreed. Did you hear what they were saying? They was speaking Spanish mostly, but I caught some words. The old man kept saying familia and honor. The woman kept saying a boy's name. Diego? Yeah, that's it. She was begging him about Diego. Sarah's heart ached. Even while being kidnapped, Maria's only thoughts were of her son. What about the driver of the black car? Sarah asked. Young guy, maybe 30. Hispanic, well-dressed. He looked nervous, kept checking his watch. Did he help Miguel force Maria into the car? Bobby nodded sadly. Yeah. When the woman tried to run, both men grabbed her. She fought hard, but they was stronger. Sarah called Agent Torres with the update. Roadblocks were set up on Highway 35, Highway 83, and every other major route to Mexico. At 10 p.m., they got their first lead. A gas station clerk in Laredo called the police hotline. I saw them, the clerk said. An older man, a crying woman, and a younger guy. They bought gas and water bottles. The woman looked scared. Which direction did they go? Sarah asked. Toward the border. But they didn't cross yet. The young guy made a phone call first. Sarah and Bobby raced to Laredo. It was only 20 miles from Mexico. If Miguel crossed the border with Maria, the case would become much more complicated. The gas station had security cameras. The footage showed Miguel, Maria, and a third man Sarah didn't recognize. Maria's hands appeared to be tied, and she could barely walk. That's them, Bobby confirmed. Same black car, same people. The gas station clerk, a college student named Alex, remembered more details. The younger guy was really nervous, Alex said. He kept arguing with the older man in Spanish. I speak some Spanish from school. The older guy wanted to cross the border right away, but the younger guy was scared. What were they scared about? Sarah asked. Getting caught. The younger guy said something about police and FBI looking for them. Sarah felt hope rising. Miguel's accomplice was having second thoughts. Maybe they could use that. The Border Patrol had been alerted. Agent Maria Gonzalez met Sarah at the checkpoint. We've been watching for them all evening, Agent Gonzalez said. But they haven't tried to cross yet. Where could they be hiding? Sarah asked. There are dozens of motels and safe houses near the border. People wait there before crossing. Sarah studied a map of Laredo. The city was spread out along the Rio Grande River. Hundreds of places to hide. Then Bobby pointed to something on the map. That church there. St. Joseph's Catholic Church. When I was homeless in San Antonio, I heard about it. They help people from Central America. Sarah felt a chill. Help them how? Give them food, shelter, sometimes help them get back home to their families. Agent Gonzalez knew the church. Father Luis Morales runs it. He's a good man. but he believes in keeping families together no matter what, even if it means separating a mother from her sick child. Sarah asked angrily. He might not know about Diego, Agent Gonzalez said. Miguel could have lied to him. They drove to St. Joseph's Church. It was a small, old building in the poor part of Laredo. Candles flickered in the windows. A few people sat in the pews, praying quietly. Father Luis Morales was a kind-looking man in his 60s. But when Sarah showed her badge, his face became guarded. I can't discuss the people who come here for help, Father Morales said. Father, we're looking for a woman who's been kidnapped by her own father, Sarah explained. Her 8-year-old son is dying of cancer in Austin. He needs his mother. Father Morales' expression softened slightly. A sick child, leukemia. He needs treatment tomorrow morning, or he could die. Sarah showed him photos of Maria and Diego. The priest studied them carefully. Miguel Santos came here 3 days ago, Father Morales finally admitted. He said his daughter had fallen into sin in America. He wanted help taking her home to El Salvador. Did you see Maria? Sarah asked. Yes, but only briefly. She seemed very upset. She kept asking to call someone in Austin. Did you let her make the call? Father Morales looked ashamed. No. Miguel said phone calls would only make her more confused. He said she needed time to pray and remember her duty to family. Sarah felt angry. Father, Miguel is holding his daughter against her will. That's kidnapping, not family duty. But families should stay together, Father Morales said weakly, even if it means a little boy dies. Bobby spoke up suddenly. I got a grandson. About that age. I'd do anything to save him. The priest looked troubled. He walked to the window and stared out at the dark street. They left this morning, he said quietly. Miguel said they were going to a safe place to think and pray. Where? Sarah demanded. I don't know exactly. But Miguel's nephew, Carlos, came to pick them up. Carlos has a small farm outside the city. Sarah felt close to finding Maria. What's Carlos's last name? Santos. Carlos Santos. His farm is about 30 miles northeast of here. Agent Gonzalez knew the area. It's very isolated. No neighbors for miles. As they prepared to leave, Father Morales grabbed Sarah's arm. Detective, if what you say is true about the sick boy, I will pray for forgiveness. I thought I was helping a family stay together. You can help now, Sarah said. Pray that we find Maria in time. The drive to Carlos Santos's farm took 45 minutes through dark country roads. Sarah's phone showed it was almost midnight. Diego's treatment was supposed to start in 8 hours. As they approached the farm, Sarah saw lights in the distance. A small house surrounded by fields and trees. The perfect place to hide someone. Agent Gonzalez coordinated with the local police. We need to surround the property quietly. If Miguel sees us coming, he might hurt Maria. Sarah thought about Maria's note. Tell Diego his mama loves him more than all the stars in the sky. Soon, Maria would be able to tell Diego that herself. If they weren't too late, the police cars surrounded Carlos Santos's farm at 12:30 a.m. Detective Sarah Chen crouched behind an oak tree, watching the small house through night vision binoculars. Lights were on in 2 rooms. Shadows moved behind the curtains. Agent Torres spoke quietly into her radio. All units in position. We have visual on the black sedan in the driveway. Sarah's heart pounded. They had found Maria. But was she still alive? Detective Chun, Agent Torres whispered. We need to know more about this family before we go in. If Miguel feels cornered, he might hurt Maria. Sarah agreed. They needed to understand Miguel Santos and why he was doing this to his own daughter. Bobby Martinez crouched beside Sarah. My Spanish ain't perfect, but I can hear voices from the house. Sounds like people arguing. Sarah called the FBI's International Division. Agent Rodriguez in El Salvador had been researching Miguel's background. Miguel Santos is known in his village, Agent Rodriguez reported. Very religious, very traditional. His neighbors say he never forgave Maria for getting pregnant without being married. What about Maria's mother? Sarah asked. She died 2 years ago. Cancer. Miguel blamed Maria for not being home to take care of her. Sarah felt sick. Miguel was using guilt and shame to control his daughter. There's more, Agent Rodriguez continued. Miguel lost his job 6 months ago. He's been telling people that God is punishing his family because of Maria's sins. So, he came to America to fix things, Sarah said. Exactly. The village priest told me Miguel believes if he brings Maria, and Diego back to El Salvador, God will forgive the family. Sarah understood now. Miguel wasn't just angry at Maria. He was desperate to save his own soul. Agent Torres set up a video call with someone who might help. Carmen Santos, Maria's sister, appeared on the laptop screen. She was calling from San Salvador. Carmen looked exactly like Maria, but older and sadder. When she saw the police surrounding the farm, she started crying. "Please don't hurt my father," Carmen begged. "He's not evil. He's just scared and confused." "Carmen, we need to understand," Sarah said gently. "Why does Miguel hate Maria so much?" Carmen wiped her tears. "He doesn't hate her. He loves her too much. When Maria left for America, Papa felt like he failed as a father. But Maria was just trying to build a better life for Diego. Papa doesn't see it that way. In our village, family stays together no matter what. When Mama got sick, Papa needed Maria to come home and help. But Maria couldn't leave because of Diego's treatments." Sarah felt the tragedy of the situation. Two people who loved each other, torn apart by different ideas about family and duty. "Carmen, is Miguel violent?" Agent Torres asked. Carmen hesitated. "He has a temper. When he gets very angry, he hurts people." "Has he hurt Maria before?" "When she was 17 and told him she was pregnant, he hit her. That's why she left El Salvador." Sarah's blood boiled. Miguel had a history of violence against his daughter. "There's something else," Carmen continued. "Papa has been talking to our cousin Eduardo about Maria for months. Eduardo told him that American doctors were poisoning Diego's mind against his family." "That's not true," Sarah said. "I know, but Papa believes it. He thinks if he brings Diego back to El Salvador, traditional medicine and prayer will cure him better than American hospitals." Sarah realized the full scope of Miguel's delusion. He believed he was saving both Maria and Diego from evil American influences. "Carmen, we need to get Maria out safely," Sarah said. "Will you help us?" "What can I do from here?" "Call Miguel. Tell him you spoke to the police. Tell him Diego is getting sicker and needs his mother immediately." Carmen nodded. "I'll try." But Papa is very stubborn when he thinks he's doing God's work. While Carmen made the call, Sarah studied the farm through her binoculars. The arguing inside the house was getting louder. Agent Torres had positioned snipers around the property. If Miguel threatened Maria, they were ready to act. At Sarah's phone buzzed with a text from Mrs. Patterson in Austin. "Diego asking for Mama all night. Very weak. Dr. Rodriguez says treatment must start in 6 hours." 6 hours. It was 1 a.m. Diego's treatment had to begin by 7 a.m., or it might be too late that Carmen's phone call was working. Through the house windows, Sarah could see Miguel pacing and gesturing angrily. Someone handed him a phone. "Papa," Carmen's voice came through clearly on the speaker. "I talked to the police in Texas. Diego is very sick. He needs Maria now." Miguel's voice was loud and angry, even from a distance. "The police are liars. American doctors are poisoning that boy. Papa, please listen. I love you, but you're wrong about this. Maria is a good mother. She's trying to save her son's life. She abandoned her family. She brought shame on our name." Carmen started crying. "Papa, Mama would want you to help Diego. You know she would." There was silence from the house. Sarah held her breath. Then Miguel's voice came again, quieter but still. Angry. "Maria chose America over her family. Now she must choose between her son and her honor." "What do you mean?" Carmen asked. "If she wants to save the boy, she must give him to me. I will take him back to El Salvador where he belongs. But Maria must stay here and face the consequences of her choices." Sarah felt cold. Miguel was trying to take Diego away from Maria permanently. "Papa, you can't separate a mother from her child," Carmen pleaded. "I can and I will. This is God's will." The call ended. Miguel had made his final decision. Agent Torres looked at Sarah. "We can't wait any longer. If Miguel tries to take Diego, we'll lose them both." Sarah nodded. It was time to end this nightmare. But as they prepared to storm the house, Sarah saw something that changed everything. A shadow moved across an upstairs window. Someone was trying to escape. "Wait," Sarah whispered into her radio. "Someone's moving upstairs." Through her binoculars, Sarah could see a figure climbing out of a second-story window. It was Maria, and she was trying to escape on her own. But as Maria climbed down the side of the house, her foot slipped. She fell 10 feet to the ground and didn't get up. "Maria's down," Sarah called into her radio. She's hurt. The rescue operation had just become a race against time. Diego needed his mother, and Maria needed help immediately. Sarah Chun had never failed to bring someone home safely. Tonight would not be the first time. Detective Sarah Chun ran toward the farmhouse as Maria lay motionless on the ground. Agent Torres and her team surrounded the building, shouting commands in Spanish and English. Miguel Santos, this is the FBI. Come out with your hands up. Sarah reached Maria first. She was unconscious but breathing. Blood trickled from a cut on her forehead. Her left arm was bent at a strange angle. Maria? Can you hear me? Sarah whispered that Maria's eyes fluttered open. Diego, she whispered weakly. Where is Diego? He's safe in Austin, Sarah said. We're going to get you back to him. The paramedics arrived and carefully put Maria on a stretcher. Her arm was broken and she had a concussion, but she was alive. Take her to Laredo General Hospital, Sarah ordered, and call Dr. Rodriguez in Austin. Tell her Maria is hurt but stable. Inside the farmhouse, Miguel Santos refused to surrender. He barricaded himself in the kitchen with Carlos, his nephew. Papa Miguel, please, Carlos begged. The police have guns. They will hurt us if we don't give up. I am doing God's work, Miguel shouted. I will not surrender to these American devils. Agent Torres used a loudspeaker to talk to Miguel. Mr. Santos, your daughter is hurt. She needs medical help. Let us end this peacefully. Maria chose her path, Miguel replied. She abandoned her family for money and American lies. Bobby Martinez stepped forward. Can I try talking to him? Sarah looked surprised. You don't even know him. But I know what it's like to lose everything, Bobby said. Sometimes people need to hear from someone who understands pain. Agent Torres handed Bobby the loudspeaker. Mr. Santos, my name is Bobby Martinez. I'm a veteran. I lost my family too, but not the way you think. Miguel went quiet. Bobby continued. I lost my family because I was too proud to ask for help. I came back from war broken, and instead of letting my wife and kids help me heal, I pushed them away. Now my grandson doesn't even know my name. Sarah could hear Miguel moving around inside the kitchen. You still have a chance, Bobby said. Your daughter loves you, and your grandson needs his mama. Don't make the same mistake I did. For 5 minutes, there was silence. Then the kitchen door opened slowly. Miguel Santos walked out with his hands up. He was a small, gray-haired man who looked much older than his 60 years. His eyes were red from crying. Where is Maria? He asked quietly. At the hospital, Agent Torres said. She's going to be okay. Miguel began to sob. I only wanted to save her soul. I wanted to bring her home where she belongs. Sarah felt a mix of anger and pity. Mr. Santos, your daughter was never lost. She was trying to save her son's life. As Miguel was arrested, Carlos Santos told the police everything. Miguel had forced Maria to come to the farm by threatening to hurt Diego. He had planned to take Maria to Mexico, then return for Diego later. He kept saying that American doctors were poisoning Diego's mind, Carlos said. He believed that prayer and traditional medicine would cure the boy better than chemotherapy. Sarah shook her head. Miguel's love for his family had been twisted into something dangerous by fear and ignorance. At Laredo General Hospital, Maria was awake and asking for Diego every few minutes. The doctors said her arm would heal, but she needed surgery to fix the broken bones. How long will the surgery take? Sarah asked Dr. Williams. 3 hours, but she needs to rest for at least 12 hours before traveling. Sarah checked her phone. It was 3 a.m. Diego's treatment was supposed to start in 4 hours. Doctor, Maria's son is dying of cancer in Austin. He needs treatment this morning, or it might be too late. Dr. Williams looked concerned. I understand, but Maria can't travel safely for at least 10 hours. Sarah felt desperate. Diego needed his mother, but Maria was too hurt to travel. Elon Musk had been quiet during the arrest, but now he stepped forward. What if we bring Diego here? He suggested. We could fly him to Laredo with Dr. Rodriguez and start his treatment here. Sarah looked at him in surprise. Can you do that? I have a jet standing by in Austin. We could have Diego and his medical team here in 2 hours. Dr. Williams nodded. Laredo General has an excellent cancer unit. We could absolutely treat the boy here. Sarah called Mrs. Patterson in Austin. We found Maria. She's hurt, but alive. We need to bring Diego to Laredo for his treatment. Oh, thank God, Mrs. Patterson cried. Diego has been asking for his mama all night. He's so weak. Within an hour, Elon's private jet was in the air with Diego, Dr. Rodriguez, and Mrs. Patterson. Sarah stayed at the hospital with Maria, who was getting ready for surgery. Detective Chun, Maria whispered. Is Diego really coming? Yes. He'll be here when you wake up from surgery. Maria started crying. I thought I would never see him again. Miguel said if I didn't go back to El Salvador, Diego would die alone. That was a lie, Sarah said gently. You're a wonderful mother. Diego is lucky to have you. At 6 a.m., Diego's plane landed in Laredo. Sarah met them at the airport. The little boy looked tiny and fragile, but his eyes lit up when he saw Sarah. Are you the lady who found my mama? Diego asked. Yes, I am. Thank you for bringing her home. Sarah felt her heart break and heal at the same time at the hospital. Diego's reunion with Maria was the most beautiful thing Sarah had ever seen. Even though Maria's arm was in a cast and she was weak from surgery, she held Diego like she would never let him go. Mama, I was so scared, Diego whispered. I know, baby, but I'm here now. I'm never leaving you again. Dr. Rodriguez began Diego's treatment immediately. The new therapy was complicated, but the Laredo hospital had everything they needed. The treatment will take 6 weeks, Dr. Rodriguez explained. But Diego should respond well. Elon had arranged for Maria and Diego to stay in a comfortable hotel suite near the hospital. He had also hired nurses to help with Diego's care. Mr. Musk, I can't accept all this help, Maria said. You're not accepting charity, Elon replied. You're accepting friendship from someone who cares about you and Diego. Miguel Santos was charged with kidnapping and held in jail. But when Sarah visited him, he seemed different, smaller and sadder. I destroyed my family, Miguel said quietly. I wanted to save them, but I destroyed them instead. It's not too late, Sarah said. Maria still loves you. If you get help and change your thinking, you might have a chance to be part of Diego's life. Miguel looked at Sarah with tired eyes. Do you really think she could forgive me? I think mothers and daughters are stronger than we know, Sarah replied. 2 weeks later, Sarah visited Maria and Diego at the hospital. Diego's treatment was working. His energy was returning, and he was drawing pictures of rockets again. Detective Chun, Diego called out. Look what I drew. The picture showed a family holding hands under a sky full of stars. A mother, a little boy, and several other people who looked like friends. Who are all these people? Sarah asked. That's you and Mr. Musk and Mrs. Patterson and Bobby and all the doctors, Diego said proudly. Mama says sometimes your real family is the people who help you when you need it most. Sarah looked at Maria, who was smiling despite everything she had been through. He's right, Maria said. I learned that family isn't just about blood. It's about love and loyalty and people who show up when things get hard. Sarah felt proud of the work they had done. They had saved a family and brought a little boy home to his mother as she prepared to return to Austin. Diego gave her one more drawing. It showed Sarah wearing a police badge with the words Hero Detective written in crayon. Thank you for finding my mama, Diego said, hugging Sarah tightly. Sarah had worked many cases in her career, but this one would always be special. Sometimes being a detective meant more than solving crimes. Sometimes it meant putting families back together. 3 weeks after Diego's rescue, Detective Sarah Chun received an unexpected phone call. It was Carmen Santos calling from El Salvador. Detective Chun, I need your help, Carmen said, her voice shaking. Miguel escaped from jail yesterday. Sarah's blood went cold. What do you mean escape? He had a heart attack during transport to court. At the hospital, he slipped away while the guards were distracted. Nobody knows where he is. Sarah immediately called Agent Torres. Miguel Santos is on the run. We need to find him before he gets to Maria and Diego. I'll alert all the hospitals in Texas, Agent Torres said. If Miguel is having heart problems, he'll need medical care. Sarah drove to Laredo General Hospital where Maria and Diego were staying. She found them in Diego's treatment room. The little boy was getting his daily chemotherapy, but he was smiling and coloring in a book. Maria, we need to talk, Sarah said quietly. They stepped into the hallway. Sarah explained about Miguel's escape. Maria's face went pale. He's coming for us, isn't he? We don't know, but we're taking extra precautions. There will be security. Guards outside Diego's room 24 hours a day. What if he tries to take Diego again? Maria's voice trembled. That won't happen, Sarah promised. But Maria, there's something else. Miguel is sick. His heart attack was serious. If he doesn't get medical help soon, he could die. Maria closed her eyes. Despite everything Miguel had done to her, he was still her father. I know you're angry at him, Sarah continued. You have every right to be. But if he contacts you, we need to know immediately. That evening, Maria sat by Diego's bed reading him a story. The little boy was getting stronger every day. His hair was starting to grow back, and his energy was returning. Mama, when can we go home to Austin? Diego asked. Soon, baby. Dr. Rodriguez says maybe 2 more weeks of treatment. Will Mr. Musk still let you work for him? Maria smiled. He said my job will always be waiting for me, and he's going to help me go to school so I can become a nurse. Diego's eyes lit up. You want to be a nurse? I want to help other families like ours. Families who are scared and don't know where to ask for help. At midnight, the hospital security guard noticed an old man sitting in the parking lot. He looked sick and tired just watching the building. The guard called Detective Chun. There's a suspicious person outside the cancer ward. Hispanic male, about 60 years old. Sarah arrived at the hospital in 10 minutes. Through the parking lot security cameras, she could see Miguel Santos sitting on a bench. He looked much older and frielier than when she had arrested him. He's not trying to break in, Sarah observed. He's just watching. Agent Torres arrived with backup officers. What's he waiting for? Sarah had an idea. Maybe he wants to see Diego? Maybe he wants to say goodbye. Absolutely not, Agent Torres said. Miguel is dangerous. He kidnapped Maria and nearly killed her. But Sarah saw something different in Miguel's posture. He wasn't angry or threatening. He looked broken and sad. Let me talk to Maria, Sarah said. This should be her choice. Upstairs, Maria was awake despite the late hour. She had been unable to sleep since learning about Miguel's escape. He's here, isn't he? Maria said when she saw Sarah. He's in the parking lot. He's not trying to come inside. He's just watching. Maria walked to the window. In the distance, she could see her father's small figure on the bench. He looks so old, Maria whispered. Maria, this is your decision, Sarah said. We can arrest him right now, or you can talk to him if you want to. Maria was quiet for a long time. I need to see him. Not for him, but for me. I need to tell him how I feel. Agent Torres objected. It's too dangerous. I'll be there with her, Sarah said. And we'll have officers surrounding the area. 20 minutes later, Sarah and Maria walked across the parking lot toward Miguel. He looked up as they approached, his face full of shame and sorrow. Maria, he said softly, I thought you would. Never speak to me again. I'm only here to tell you the truth, Maria said firmly. You nearly destroyed our family with your anger and pride. Miguel nodded. I know. I have been a terrible father. Diego is getting better, Maria continued. The treatment is working. He's going to live a long, happy life. In America? Miguel asked. Yes, in America. This is our home now. Miguel looked toward the hospital. Can I see him? Just once. Maria was quiet for a moment. He doesn't know who you are. I never told him about you because I was afraid you would try to take him away. I understand, Miguel said sadly. I lost the right to be his grandfather. Yes, you did, Maria said without mercy. But Miguel, there's something. You need to understand. Diego is not sick because of my choices. Cancer happens to children everywhere, even in El Salvador, even to families who never leave their villages. Miguel began to cry. I thought if I brought you home, God would heal him. God is healing him, Maria said, through doctors and medicine and people who care about us. God doesn't punish children for their mother's choices. Sarah watched the conversation with amazement. Maria was stronger than anyone had realized. She was facing her father with courage and truth. I'm dying, Miguel said quietly. The doctors in jail told me my heart is failing. I'm sorry to hear that, Maria said. But I can't fix your heart. Only you can do that. How? Miguel asked desperately. By letting go of your anger. By accepting that I'm a good mother who loves her son. By understanding that families can love each other even when they live far apart. Miguel looked at his daughter with new eyes. You have become a strong woman. I had to become strong to protect my son from people who would hurt him, even from my own father. Agent Torres stepped forward. Mr. Santos, you need to come with us. You're under arrest. Miguel nodded. I know. But first, Maria, Please tell Diego that his grandfather is sorry. Tell him that I hope he grows up to be as brave as his mother." "I will," Maria promised. As the officers led Miguel away, he turned back one more time. "Maria, I love you. I always have. I just didn't know how to show it the right way." "I know, Papa," Maria said, tears streaming down her face. "I love you too. But love isn't enough if it comes with conditions." Sarah put her arm around Maria as they watched Miguel being driven away. "How do you feel?" Sarah asked. "Sad," Maria said honestly, "but also free. I finally told him the truth about everything." "Do you think he understood?" "Maybe. It's too late for him to be part of Diego's life, but maybe it's not too late for him to find peace." They walked back toward the hospital. Diego was sleeping peacefully in his room, surrounded by get-well cards from friends in Austin and new friends in Laredo. "Detective Chun," Maria said as they reached Diego's door. "Thank you for letting me face him on my own terms." "You didn't need my permission," Sarah replied. "You're stronger than you know." Maria looked through the window at her sleeping son. "I learned something important tonight. I don't need my father's approval to be a good mother. Diego's health and happiness are all the proof I need." Sarah smiled. "That's the wisest thing anyone has said during this whole case." As Sarah prepared to leave, Maria grabbed her hand. "Will you be at Diego's last treatment next week?" Maria asked. "I wouldn't miss it," Sarah promised. Miguel Santos was returned to jail, where he would serve his sentence for kidnapping. But something had changed in him during the parking lot conversation. For the first time, he began to understand the difference between love and control. 1 week later, Detective Sarah Chin stood in the hallway of Laredo General Hospital watching the most beautiful sight she had ever seen. Diego Santos was ringing the bell that marked the end of his cancer treatment. "I did it, Mama," Diego shouted as Maria hugged him tightly. "The doctors say the cancer is gone." Dr. Rodriguez smiled as she reviewed Diego's final test results. "The treatment worked perfectly. Diego is officially in remission." Sarah felt tears in her eyes. After everything this family had been through, Diego was going to be okay. Elon Musk had flown down from Austin for Diego's final treatment. He brought a special gift, a small model rocket that Diego could build himself. "This is like the rockets we launch at SpaceX," Elon told Diego. "Maybe someday you can help us build real ones." "Can I really?" Diego's eyes were wide with excitement. "If you study hard and never give up on your dreams, you can do anything," Elon said. Bobby Martinez was there too. Over the past month, he had become like a grandfather to Diego. The little boy had even drawn pictures for Bobby's real grandson back in San Antonio. "Bobby, will you come visit us in Austin?" Diego asked. "Try and stop me, kid," Bobby said with a grin. "Someone's got to make sure you stay out of trouble." As they celebrated Diego's recovery, Sarah reflected on everything that had happened. 3 months ago, Maria Santos was a scared housekeeper working 3 jobs and suffering in silence. Today, she was a confident woman surrounded by people who cared about her. "Detective Chun," Maria said, pulling Sarah aside. "I have something to tell you. Miguel wrote me a letter from jail." Sarah was surprised. "Are you okay with that?" "Actually, yes. The letter was different from anything he's ever said to me before." Maria showed Sarah the letter. Miguel's handwriting was shaky, but his words were clear. "My dearest daughter Maria, I have had time to think about my actions. I was wrong to try to control your life. I was wrong to threaten Diego. I was wrong to put my pride before your happiness. You are a wonderful mother, and I am proud of the woman you have become. I may not live to see Diego grow up, but I want you to know that I will spend the rest of my life trying to become the father you deserved. Con amor, Papa." Sarah looked up at Maria. "How do you feel about this?" "Hopeful," Maria said honestly. "I don't know if Miguel can really change, but at least he's trying to understand what he did wrong. Will you write back to him?" "Maybe someday. Right now, I need to focus on Diego and building our new life." Sarah understood. Healing from family trauma took time. Dr. Rodriguez had more good news. "Maria, I spoke with the nursing school at the University of Texas. They're very interested in your application. With your experience and dedication, you would make an excellent nurse." Maria's face lit up. "Really? They would accept me? Your story is inspiring," Dr. Rodriguez said. "You never gave up fighting for your son. That's exactly the kind of person we need in healthcare." Elon stepped forward. "And I'm going to pay for your nursing school." It's the least I can do after everything you've done for my family. Mr. Musk, I can't accept that, Maria protested. You're not accepting charity, Elon said firmly. You're accepting an investment in your future. Someday, you'll help other families like yours. That's worth everything to me. Sarah watched this exchange with amazement. A billionaire, a detective, a homeless veteran, and a single mother had become an unlikely family. That evening, Sarah visited Miguel Santos in jail one final time. He looked smaller and frilier than before, but there was something different in his eyes. The anger was gone. Detective Chun, Miguel said quietly, "Did Maria get my letter?" "Yes, she did. She read it." Did she believe me?" Sarah chose her words carefully. "She believes you're trying to change." "That's a start." Miguel nodded. "The doctors say my heart is getting worse. I probably don't have much time left." "I'm sorry to hear that." "I'm not," Miguel said surprisingly. "I caused so much pain to my family. Maybe it's better if I'm not around to hurt them anymore." "Miguel, that's not true. Diego asks about you sometimes. He doesn't understand everything that happened, but he knows you're his grandfather." Miguel's eyes filled with tears. He asks, "About me?" "Maria told him you're sick and that you love him but made some bad choices. She's protecting him from the whole truth until he's older. She's still protecting me, even after everything I did," Miguel whispered. "That's what good people do," Sarah said. "They choose love over revenge. Will you give Maria something for me?" Miguel asked. He handed Sarah a small wooden cross that he had carved himself. It was rough and simple, but made with care. "Tell her this was my mother's cross. Her grandmother's. I should have given it to her years ago." Sarah took the cross. It was warm from Miguel's hands. "I'll make sure she gets it. And Detective Chin, thank you for saving my family. You did what I couldn't do. You put Diego first." 3 days later, Sarah returned to Austin with Maria and Diego. The whole city seemed to welcome them home. Mrs. Patterson had decorated Diego's room with balloons and welcome home signs. Detective Chun, Diego ran to Sarah as soon as they arrived. "Look, Mrs. Patterson made me a cake that looks like a rocket." The cake was beautiful, decorated with frosting stars and the words, "Welcome home, Hero Diego." "You're the real hero," Sarah told Diego. "You were brave through all your treatments." "Mama was brave too," Diego said seriously. "She fought to save me, just like you fought to save her." That night, Sarah gave Maria the wooden cross from Miguel. Maria held it gently, remembering her grandmother who had worn it every day. "He carried this with him all the way from El Salvador," Maria said softly. "He wanted you to have it." Maria put the cross around her neck. "I'll wear it for my grandmother, not for him. But maybe someday Diego will want to know about this part of his heritage." "You'll tell him the truth when he's ready," Sarah said. "The whole truth, the good and the bad. That's what children deserve." 6 months later, Sarah received a call that Miguel Santos had died peacefully in the prison medical unit. Maria attended his funeral, bringing Diego with her. It was the first time Diego met any of his father's family. Carmen Santos hugged Maria and Diego at the funeral. Miguel spent his last months writing letters to children in hospitals, Carmen told Maria. He was trying to make up for the pain he caused. "I'm glad he found some peace," Maria said at the cemetery. Diego placed a small flower on Miguel's grave. "Mama, why did grandfather make bad choices?" "Sometimes people get scared and confused," Maria explained. "They think being tough and controlling means they love you. But real love means wanting you to be happy, even if it's different from what they planned. Like how you let me choose my own favorite color and my own favorite foods." "Exactly like that, baby." Diego thought about this for a moment. "I think grandfather was scared I would forget about our family in El Salvador." Maria was amazed by her son's wisdom. "You're very smart, Diego. Can we visit Aunt Carmen someday? So I can learn about our family. When you're older, if you want to, we can visit. But our home is in Austin." "I know, Mama. Austin is where our friends are." Today, Diego Santos is a healthy 10-year-old who loves building rockets and wants to be an astronaut. Maria graduated from nursing school and works at Dell Children's Medical Center, helping other families navigate their children's cancer treatments. Elon Musk still employs Maria, but now as his head of employee wellness, making sure no one in his company suffers in silence like she once did. Detective Sarah Chun keeps Diego's drawings in her office. They remind her that sometimes the most important cases aren't about catching criminals. Sometimes they're about keeping families together, and Bobby Martinez? He reunited with his own grandson and now volunteers at the Children's Hospital, reading stories to kids getting cancer treatment. The heartbreaking truth Sarah discovered in Room 23 wasn't just about medical bills and desperation. It was about the lengths a mother will go to save her child and the family she'll find along the way. Maria never did finish that first letter she was writing to Elon. She didn't need to. Sometimes the most important words are the ones we never have to say, because the people who love us already understand. 6 months after Diego's final cancer treatment, Detective Sarah Chun received an invitation that made her smile. It was written in Diego's careful handwriting. Please come to my rocket launch party at SpaceX. Sarah drove to the SpaceX facility in Austin on a sunny Saturday morning. She found Diego, now a healthy 10-year-old with thick black hair, standing next to a small rocket he had built himself. Detective Chun, Diego ran to hug her. Look what I made. The rocket was painted bright blue with silver stars. On the side, Diego had written Mama's Hero in careful letters. It's beautiful, Diego, Sarah said. Are you excited to launch it? So excited. Mr. Musk said if it flies high enough, I can tour the real rocket factory. Maria walked over, wearing scrubs from her job at Dell Children's Medical Center. She looked confident and happy, nothing like the scared woman Sarah had first met in room 23. How's nursing school going? Sarah asked. I graduate next month, Maria said proudly. Then I'll be a full-time pediatric oncology nurse. I want to help other families like ours. That's perfect. You'll understand what they're going through better than anyone. Elon Musk appeared, carrying a larger rocket model. Ready for the launch, Diego? Yes, sir. Will mine really fly as high as yours? Let's find out, Elon said with a grin. The rocket launch area was filled with people who had become Diego's extended family. Bobby Martinez sat in a lawn chair, his own grandson Kevin beside him. Mrs. Patterson had brought homemade cookies. Dr. Rodriguez was there with her family. This is amazing, Sarah said to Maria. Look how many people love Diego. I know, Maria replied, watching Diego show his rocket to everyone. A year ago, I thought Diego and I were all alone in the world. Now we have more family than I ever imagined. Agent Torres arrived with her teenage daughter. Sorry we're late. Emma insisted on making a good luck banner for Diego. The banner read Diego Santos, future astronaut, in rainbow letters. Thank you, Emma, Diego called out. I'm going to hang this in my room. As they prepared for the rocket launch, Sarah noticed something beautiful. Diego moved easily between all these different people. The billionaire CEO, the homeless veteran, the FBI agent, the detective, the doctors. To him, they were all just family. Countdown starts now, Elon announced. 10, 9, 8. Everyone joined in. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Launch. Diego pressed the button. His small rocket shot high into the Texas sky, trailing white smoke. Everyone cheered as it deployed its parachute and drifted back down. I did it, Diego shouted. It worked. That was an excellent launch, Elon said seriously. I think you're ready for the factory tour. As they walked toward the SpaceX building, Diego fell into step beside Sarah. Detective Chun, can I ask you something? Of course. Do you think my grandfather would be proud of me? Sarah was quiet for a moment. Miguel Santos had died 8 months ago, but Diego still thought about him sometimes. I think he would be very proud, Sarah said honestly. You're smart, kind, and brave. Those are the best things anyone can be. Mama says he made bad choices, but he still loved me. That's true. Sometimes people love us, but don't know how to show it the right way. Diego nodded seriously. I'm going to show love the right way when I grow up. How's that? By helping people instead of trying to control them. Like you helped Mama, and Mr. Musk helped us, and Bobby helps kids at the hospital. Sarah felt amazed by Diego's wisdom. This 10-year-old understood something about love that many adults never learned. Inside the SpaceX facility, Diego's eyes grew wide as he saw the massive rockets being built. Engineers explained how each part worked. Diego asked smart questions and took notes in a small notebook. Someday I want to design rockets that can take sick kids to space, Diego told one engineer. So they can see how beautiful Earth is and know they're part of something bigger. The engineer smiled. That's the best reason to become an astronaut I've ever heard. After the tour, everyone gathered for lunch in SpaceX's cafeteria. Sarah sat with Maria, watching Diego draw pictures of the rockets he had seen. "Maria, can I ask you something personal?" Sarah said. "Of course. Do you ever regret not asking for help sooner? Those 3 years you worked for Elon while Diego was sick." Maria thought carefully. "I used to regret it. But now I think everything happened the way it was supposed to. If I had asked for help right away, I might not have learned how strong I really am. And Diego might not have learned about resilience and fighting for what's important." Exactly. We went through something terrible, but we came out stronger. And we found our real family. Sarah looked around the room. Bobby was teaching Kevin and Diego a card game. Mrs. Patterson was showing Dr. Rodriguez photos of Diego's artwork. Elon was drawing rocket designs on napkins for the kids. "It's not a traditional family," Sarah observed. "The best families never are." Maria replied. As the party wound down, Diego made a speech. He stood on a chair so everyone could see him. "I want to thank everyone for being my family," he said in his clear voice. "When I was sick, I was scared I might die without ever seeing the stars. But you all helped me get better, and now I know I'll see lots of stars someday." He paused and looked at his mother. "Mama taught me that family isn't just the people you're born with. Family is the people who show up when you need them most." Everyone clapped. Sarah noticed that even tough Agent Torres was wiping her eyes. "And someday," Diego continued, "when I'm an astronaut, I'm going to name a star after each of you. So even when we're old and far apart, we'll all be together in the sky." After the party, Sarah helped Maria and Diego pack up their things. Diego carefully wrapped his rocket model in bubble wrap. "This is going on my bedroom shelf next to all my get well cards," he announced. "You still have all those cards?" Sarah asked. "Every single one. Mama says they remind us that people cared about us even when we felt alone." As they walked to their cars, Maria stopped Sarah. "Detective Chun, I have something for you." She handed Sarah a small wrapped package. Inside was a framed photo of Diego ringing the bell at the hospital with a note. "To Detective Chun, who taught us that heroes come in all shapes and sizes. Thank you for bringing us home. Love, Diego and Maria." "This is going on my desk at the police station," Sarah said, feeling emotional. "You know, I never did finish that letter I was writing to Elon," Maria said. "The one you found in room 23. Do you remember what you wanted to say?" "I wanted to ask for help, but I was too scared and proud. Now I realize the letter wasn't really for Elon. It was for me. I needed to admit that asking for help isn't weakness. It's courage." Sarah hugged Maria goodbye. "You're one of the bravest people I've ever met. So are you. Thank you for not giving up on us." As Sarah drove home, she thought about the case that had changed her life. She had started out looking for a missing housekeeper and ended up finding a family. Her phone buzzed with a text from Diego. "Detective Chun, I drew you a picture of your police car flying to space. Mama says I can email it to you tomorrow." Sarah smiled. Some cases ended with arrests and convictions. This one ended with rocket ships and dreams of the stars. At the police station on Monday, Sarah hung Diego's photo next to her other commendations. Officer Martinez stopped by her desk. "New case coming in, detective. Missing teenager in West Austin." "I'll take it," Sarah said, grabbing her badge. As she headed out, Sarah looked back at Diego's photo. The little boy's smile reminded her why she became a detective in the first place. Not just to solve crimes, but to bring people home to the families who love them. Sometimes the most important cases weren't about finding criminals. Sometimes they were about finding hope, and sometimes, if you were very lucky, they were about finding that families could be built from love, courage, and people who refused to give up on each other. The story that began with a heartbreaking discovery in room 23 had become something beautiful. A reminder that even in the darkest moments, there are people willing to help, to love, and to fight for what's right. Diego Santos would indeed become an astronaut someday. And when he did, he would carry with him the love of an extraordinary family who taught him that the greatest adventures begin with the courage to ask for help and the wisdom to accept it when it comes to. We'd love to know where you're listening from. Drop a comment below and tell us your city or country. It's amazing to connect with listeners from all around the world. If this story touched your heart, please give this video a thumbs up. Your likes help us know which stories resonate with you the most. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel for many more inspiring and emotional stories like this one. Most importantly, please share this video with your friends and family. Stories like Maria and Diego's remind us that kindness exists everywhere, and that sometimes the most beautiful families are the ones we choose. By sharing, you're helping spread awareness about the struggles many families face and the power of community support. Sometimes all it takes is one person willing to help to change everything. Maybe today, you can be that person for someone else. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you in the next story.